Sure. So I can tell you how it came about historically. So I ran marketing for many years at Forbes. I woke up one morning and decided that the future of marketing was more about thought leadership, content creation and distribution, and helping companies on that journey. I founded a division of Forbes called Forbes Insights, which is engaged by companies like PwC, who's a sponsor of today's event, KPMG, IBM, Google, etc., who engage us to help understand the pain points within the C-suite, particularly of very large organizations, in their challenges, in their go-to-market challenges. And we develop that research, develop reports around that, storytelling and journalism-based research storytelling is how I refer to it. And as a subset of that, I run what we call our CMO practice, which is research, editorial, and events for marketing leadership. Well, I'll tell you, it all comes from the CEO and the board, particularly the CEO, if we're talking about enterprise companies. And they are all in some journey of digital transformation. Most companies are being, to some degree, left behind in that process, particularly by digital natives that are in some ways undermining or disrupting their business. Digital is the great disruptor. And the second part of digital is data and analytics. And so companies like Netflix and Amazon and all the usual suspects that we think of as disrupting the retail industry, disrupting the entertainment business, disrupting the cab riding business through Uber. These are basically data companies. So they take the data that you have, where you are in time and space, connect you to a cab, that's Uber, what your preferences are, that you've given data through Netflix to show you what you might like next, or for Amazon, what you might buy next. And they use that data to give that back to you to enhance your customer experience, and we thank them for it. Organizations, for the most part, are challenged in moving towards that goal, and data analytics is a less mature discipline within the organization. Hence, we have this period of disruption in which we have lots of C-level executives who are trying to fill that role: chief data officer, chief analytics officer, chief digital officer. There's a lot of chiefs, and I think what that speaks to is some transitional period in the enterprise in which the organization is trying to figure out who's going to lead us in this journey. Is it going to be our CMO? Is it going to be our chief digital officer? Is it going to be from somewhere else, our chief analytics officer? Who's going to help us move further along in keeping up with a fast-changing customer base? Well, there's a couple of things. One, it's certainly incumbent on leadership, particularly the CEO, to create the right culture to bring in that capability and then support it. If someone is brought in as the chief analytics officer and has no staff and has no budget, odds are that's going to be a pretty challenging role to make work over the long term. If it is supported throughout the organization, obviously they have a better chance. The key is that the business as usual, the signal to the organization from the CEO is business as usual is coming to an end. We need to do things differently, otherwise it's the definition of insanity. And so this person, this capability, this organization within the organization has my stamp of approval, and get on board and support them in what they do, because in many ways they are pioneers in some cases, depending on the industry and the company and the maturity in this journey, digital transformation journey. But they have to be Table stakes are experts in their field, but they have to be evangelists, they have to be educators, they have to be teachers, they have to be conciliators, they have to be therapists, they have to bring disparate organizations together, they have to break down silos, they have to inculcate trust in what they're doing is going to support the people that they're working with. And we certainly see that best practices is indeed this role, someone, call them what they are, chief, what you will, some have different titles, but say a chief analytics officer or a chief data officer, and create a center of excellence so that they have the platform to educate the organization around that discipline. Well, I think it's probably like any senior leader of any organization who's brought in. They have a certain amount of time to show their worth. Hopefully they hit the ground running with their 100-day plan. So these are CEO-like skills. This is organizational, talent management, discipline, people, process, and technology, orchestration skills that are required, and a certain amount of certainly people skills is probably first and foremost among them. The culture is the key component that is the difference between success or failure. And so if, like any new member of the C-suite, if in fact they're new, is you do have to show some early and easy wins, and hopefully that's something that you have in your hip pocket as you come into the organization. Let's make some fast and early wins, celebrate those wins in the organization, prove your value, create trust, move forward. Yeah, interesting. Also, as part of what I do at Forbes, I also write a column for Forbes where I profile CEOs, particularly technology founding CEOs, and a lot of the innovation and business disruption is happening in the data and analytics space, because that's the challenge that organizations are facing. And so there's a lot of innovation that's happening around the democratization of data. The world cannot create and hire enough data scientists. They don't exist. We can't embed a PhD in statistics or probability statistics or data and analytics PhD in every business unit of every company. It's the numbers don't work. So how can technology help to serve to bridge that gap? So there are many interesting innovations here in that. There's one company that actually is one of the exhibitors at this conference, ThoughtSpot, who I've written about coincidentally and profiled their founding CEO. So they are the Google of data. So they are software that creates an overlay over your data that helps you understand and access it in a way of unstructured data that helps obviate the need for having a PhD create some sort of model around it. They're very easy to use user interfaces. You have to be expert in your business, but not an expert in statistics and statistical modeling to be able to query the data as a result. And I think we're going to see a lot of these kinds of new innovative companies that help solve the problems of how do we bring data to people who are not data scientists and who are in fact on the front line of the business, who need to use data to make business decisions. Yeah, I think there'll be a consolidation between those roles. I think those are very similar responsibilities. I think analytics is a little bit different, but if your job is the management of data within the organization, that is maybe even a little bit of an arm wrestle with the IT organization. So if IT is going to become basically the plumbers that make your phones work and make your network run and with no downtime, then maybe the chief data officer will become ascendant in that organization. If IT and enlightened IT management is looking to be at the front lines of building businesses and not just, making sure the plumbing works, then I think there'll be that sort of transformational executive that leads the organization forward, because the intersection of data and IT is inextricable. There's a couple of in vogue C-level executives today: Chief Digital Officer, Chief Customer Experience Officer. There's a lot more chiefs. And I think, to me, again, this is emblematic of the challenges that organizations face, the disruption that's happening, and the fact that the CEO wants to bring in someone to speed up the pace of change within the organization. He or she does not see that person internally. Let's bring someone in, or anoint someone internally, if that is indeed the case, to take this role to evangelize, educate the organization, to speed up the clock, because every organization is trying to become more like a startup culture. They're trying to bring that discipline, but it's very hard in a large company that has lots of different organizations, lots of silos in which there are a lot of owners of business units, and bringing them all together is a challenge. So often those roles, however I see them as transitional, are certainly coming to the fore today. The amount of time that I've spent in talking to both CEOs and researching these issues, the more I come to see the challenges are ones of leadership and culture change. Technology and capability are table stakes, and not to be underestimated or undercut in terms of their value. They are de rigueur, but organizations that get the culture right, organizations that get leadership right, and that C-level person who comes in at whatever level, chief analytics officer, chief data officer, chief digital, whatever CXO of the moment they have to be leaders first, and leaders are in short supply. It's a skill that is obviously not by definition that everyone has, but needs to be nurtured and supported if any of these initiatives are going to work. Customers are moving faster than organizations can keep up with them, and particularly around the idea of differentiating yourself in the marketplace and how you establish your expertise or establish your primacy as a go-to source for any particular product or service is all around creating stories that position you that way. Now, historically, that's been impression-based advertising, but because of consumer behavior, we have an incredibly fragmented media market space, which I'm intimately acquainted with, coming from a media company. It creates huge challenges for media. It's a huge challenge for marketers. So every dollar that you put into impressions has less value to you every year because of media fragmentation. Customer journey has changed. Customers know more about you as a company and your products and the people who work for you than you probably know about yourself, because of social media, because of access to information through the web. The buyer journey has changed as a result of that. So most companies are running as fast as they can to keep up with the customer. And so at least for now, and perhaps even over the next decade and maybe a whole generation of marketers, that will require a shift from a mindset that says impressions equal X result. I've spent 30 years in my career understanding how that works. P&G built a whole model around impressions equal sales and TV commercials. That model is broken. You can't buy enough impressions. You can't spend enough money on advertising to overcome that. So with a highly disaggregated way to connect with customers, you need to do something different. And storytelling that puts you at the center of it, that allows that to be shared by your customers and consumed at whatever point they are in the discovery process or even in the buying transactional process, is going to be more valuable. I think in the short term the answer is yes. I think the past year has probably seen the most disruption and dislocation at the CMO level of very large organizations, particularly in retail. The retail business itself has been undergoing disruption by the likes of Amazon and others, from a long time, and it's now reaching critical mass. But if you don't understand the levers of how to manage that customer journey, and all you're doing is relying on tried and true older methods, you're going to run into a wall, and someone's going to have to take the blame for your shareholder quarterly reports being down, and often that's the CMO is the first to go as a result. The CEO may not be far behind. So this year, I think more than others, we've seen that dislocation happening. And I think what that speaks to is a new generation of marketers who are digital natives, who are coming to the fore, who maybe were, toiling away in the corner, understanding how to connect with customers with techniques like social media and SEO, who were the kids, spending time on that, are now becoming marketing leaders. And I think that's the next phase of where marketing leadership will come from. It certainly is a requirement for a marketing leader to understand the channels of communications have changed, and how you need to connect those in a way that makes you a performance marketer, that you understand that marketing activity has to result in business outcomes. Not just the measurement of marketing activity for marketing activity's sake. And it sounds like a preposterous concept, but marketing is the most inefficient discipline within the C-suite. Perhaps shamefully so. We spend money on marketing without understanding what the outcomes are. And if you asked the CFO, how he's managing money and what the treasurer is doing with shareholder value, if they say, well, I don't really know. I try some things and half of it works and half of it doesn't, they wouldn't be in that position very long. Well, that ethos is coming to the marketing role, and you have to have a pretty clear understanding of attribution around marketing activity. It is developing a culture of experimentation is really critical. That is in short supply, and the tolerance for that, even everybody talks about that. A culture of experimentation, but that is of course driven by data and analytics. So the idea that no one has all the answers, but you can let the customers give you the answers by iterating fast, failing fast, moving on, understanding what resonates with your customers, both from a product offering and from a message offering.